Welcome back. Today we're going to be making a service dog vest for my service dog Luna, and it has a marine biology theme, so I'm very excited. We got all our basic things. We got our cloth, the webbing, the patches I'm going to put, their Velcro, buckles, zippers, everything we need to start our project. So first off, we're going to start by taking some measurements of how long my vest is, and we're going to see just how long I need to make my cloth for my new vest. I'm going to be using a Banworth Designs vest as my prototype because it's just a perfect vest all around. And now here you'll see I am cutting out the pattern material, which has whales and turtles on it. Absolutely love it. And I'm just gonna be making some marks, just trying to divide up the pieces and get this all settled out and ready to go. So I'm gonna make some cuts going down here, and it's gonna make things a lot easier. It's sad to cut the whale in half, but thankfully the finished piece did come out alright. Now I'm going to start tracing the outline of my old vest to get that hourglass shape that they had already gotten, and then I'll be putting a pin in the middle just to hold it together as I cut, because when you do cut two pieces together, they can slide and move around, and I want to make sure that it is all a-okay. Alrighty, so I've cut that out. Now we're gonna finish doing the tracing to get the shape all put together, and let's see how it goes. Here I am just cutting up the sides of the pieces I've already traced and just making sure everything is in line, it isn't choppy or anything. I want it to be smooth and make sure that both pieces are cut to the right length. And so here's me going again and cutting off those pieces. I put that pin in also to hold it together. Flash forward here is where I start sewing all of the edges of my pieces to hold them together. In hindsight, I wouldn't have done all of this the same way, but it did work out in the end, and I'm happy with the end product. You'll see soon enough. Just going over those edges. I wanted to ensure the pieces stayed together as I sewed everything. I did decide not to do the zippers and zipper pockets because I just didn't feel like adding on to that. And oftentimes with sewing, I make it super complicated and then get so confused and fail, and it just doesn't turn out. And it's just a complete bummer, and then I never go back to sewing for a while, so I want to do things a little different, and my thread became unthreaded, so I had to rethread there. Here's me just continuing to sew those other edges together. Thankfully the material I'm using doesn't fray, so it's not really a worry as to falling apart necessarily, but I'd like to keep things as flat and in place as possible. Here I'm figuring out where I want my Velcro patches to be for the service dog patches I'll put on. This is just the loop side of the hook and loop. Sewing it into place, just around the edges. Well, now the patches I had already bought came with hook and loop, so it made it pretty easy to get all this together. Here's me just sewing the rest of it. I did find out that I did not have it perfectly centered, which annoys me, but I think it still looks great. And here is me sewing the webbing of the pieces together. And adding my second piece on just to connect everything. And what the video doesn't show is I do go back and forth just to knot up that line so that it doesn't come apart later on. Just shoring up that none of it falls apart. This isn't a very mobile vest, so it's not like it's gonna have a lot of pull on it, but I want it to be pretty sturdy for her to last a while because I plan on using it a lot. So far, it is looking awesome. I know when I got to this stage, I was just so excited I couldn't stop smiling because something finally turned out good and I'm actually proud of it. And it's my first real vest that I've ever made, so that's a very big deal for me. Overall, just super happy with everything. The corners were very difficult. I struggled a lot, but I think I got it in the end, and I think it turned out pretty good. Here's me struggling with another corner. I got a pretty good hourglass shape. I wish I would have taken the time to go cut it out with special cutting stuff that we have, but I just really wanted to try to do it all there in front of the camera so I could just get it all done with and also not wake up my brother in the other room. He wanted to sleep in till like 2 o'clock. Here I'm cutting it, and I had to go get a fire starter just so I can burn the ends of the webbing to not fray it all. Turned out pretty well. And then I just sewed the piece further down just to make sure that it stays well. Here I am working on the strapping going off of my other vest to figure out how to do the pieces correctly. I've never done strapping before, so this is a whole new thing for me. But it turned out really well. I was very surprised. And then here's just me getting all the buckles into place. I ended up doing double buckles. Unlike my other vest, it only had one buckle. I like it this way. I know I may not use the front buckle, but I like to have the option just in case. The back doesn't look super great, but I think it looks pretty good still. And here's me just finishing up the strapping pieces, getting the pieces together, and I think it's just overall going wonderful. I made the mistake at one point of doing it backwards because my bottom thread is light gray, so it's shown a little bit, but I used a Sharpie and just went over the thread after I sewn, and you can't even tell that it was there. That's just cheap work for me. So yeah, I hope you guys liked it. can see turtles on the back and whales. We got our nice hook. Here we go. Look at all the sea creatures. I hope you guys liked this video and you liked her vest. Stay tuned and subscribe if you want to hear more from us in the future.